Welcome everyone to the Dungeon Mother. My name is Tina, and I today will be introducing the first campaign log of the Waves of Time. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Our story begins with two figures traversing along a dirt path that carves its way through the plains of Tyr. These tall grasses and massive stone relics of the past dot around the terrain as they travel. Gruesome figures, creatures, and giants are caught in eternal frozen combat as an elven maiden walks on apart from the road. Ahead of her, and using the road that passes through the plains, is a burly tribal creature that bears the likeness of a reptile. Waddling next to him is a creature of molten rock and flame. Our elven traveler is struck with a curiosity by the landscape, and with this she decides to approach the road despite her better judgments. Upon further inspection of the statue near the road, she comes to understand that they were once living beings, giants of days old. Through some knowledge rolls, Persephone is able to coin this information. The tale of old. In ancient days, Midjord was ruled by giants and trolls alike, known as the Gaul, and with that a massive battle between troll and Gaul broke out for the territory, fighting over the land known as Torgrund, but now it is known as the Tyr's Plains. Their neighbors, the goblins, were trapped in the warpath between these two monstrosities. Villages and cities were crushed beneath their feet, and the carnage was steadily rising. In response, Ignatzu, one of the grand wizards of the goblin tribes at the time, cast a spell on these warring giants. Desperate to keep their destruction from harming those underfoot, he turned them all to stone, and any that survived this spell morphed into animals. As Persephone drew this knowledge from these statues, she remembered the stories her father, Balimarb, had shared with her, before a flash of movement catches her eye. She is face to face with this molten creature from the road. Its rocky form is a pleasant replacement for flesh. Persephone, the elven necromancer, finds that she is not repulsed by this creature, nor is owner once Kahame approaches and greets her. Our players are finally introduced. We have Persephone, the Volscan necromancer, version of elf in my world that has necromantic tendencies, who has been living in a literal cave for the majority of her life. Within this cave, she was raised by a skeletal dragonborn, known as Balimarb. The reptilian barbarian is later to be revealed as Kahame, a lizard folk, Tawari, for the name that is in my homebrew world, with an oceanic culture much like the Maori. Krakatoa is Kahame's Magman, a creature of volcanic fire and molten rock. With introductions out of the way, Persephone and Kahame's attention is drawn from each other by the squeaking wheels of a carriage. Varn's Potions and Dyes rolls into view and offers them a look at his wares, as well as a ride should they desire it. Persephone, with no real course planned, and Kahame, seeking stories to record, decide to board Varn's carriage and continue down the road together. With the cart, they make arrangement to purchase several health potions, while Persephone eyes the hair dyes. Her attention, as she browses the wares, is slowly drawn to a shadowed form at the back of the carriage. Bundled up, in the far end of the moving shop, is a reclusive, stout figure. Dark robes are wrapped tightly around her form, and through the player's curious inspections, the two are able to discover that their fellow passenger is a Xingmao. The Xingmao is a variation of catfolk that are short, about the size of halflings, and have a culture that resembles that of ancient China. Persephone rests across from this strange cat and notices several details. She catches the whiff of a scent, in particular, that of salt and the ocean breeze. As they investigate this strange figure, Kahame catches sight of several other crustaceans along with crabs that retreat into her robes. A conversation begins with the cat, and they learn that she is a follower of Sedna, the goddess of death, lady of the brine and the mother of the sea. They learn that she is traveling, and intends to send a message. Her eerie demeanor only intensifies when she warns them that something follows the carriage, something sinister. It is then that the players are confronted by reptilian hounds that pounce into the carriage and attempt to subdue the players. Combat initiative is rolled, and the battle begins. The two band together, along with Varn, with whom they convince to hasten the carriage. With the wheels rolling hard against the road ahead, a serpent followed by 2 kobold and drake hounds lay siege on the players, eager to gain entrance into the store. Kahame rises victorious as he impales the head of the monstrous snake with his trident, preventing it from boarding. One of the hounds, however, finds purchase on the moving cart, and the cat slips Persephone a dagger, saying, "Use it well, daughter." Confused, but with no time to ask for an explanation, Persephone and Kahame continue the combat with the remaining kobolds. Eventually they manage to overcome them, as well as the hounds, and stop the cart. Curious about their pursuers, they investigate, and through a detailed search, they retrieve a letter from one of the corpses addressed to a man by the name of Nashani. This letter details an interesting plot that involves an individual by the name of Raketh. From Kahame's understanding and knowledge check, he is able to reveal that Raketh is a bandit lord who has risen up as a beacon of hope for other Dragonborn in these trying times. With Midjord at war with Ra-no-Kaz, many have flocked to join his ranks to get revenge for the death of Lord Croesus and the death of their families from the destruction of Highspire. And with that, we close our first session. To give you an idea, for the next session, Dragonborn citizens are scattered around the continent, seeking sanctuary from the wrath of the 3 lords of Midjord, Lachey, Tybet, and Arabella. In opposition to their efforts to capture Dragonborn, the other 2 of the 5, Lord Fowl and Lord Yordgrum, have provided sanctuary to the Dragonborn citizens, providing for those who seek either to leave or make a new home for themselves and their lands. This division between lords has caused a strain on the Lord Protector's effectiveness to keep them in line with the war on top of everything else, which has resulted in the assassination of Lord Croesus, the former Lord of Highspire who governed the Tyr's plains and neighboring lands, as well as the unofficial claiming of his seat by Lachey. And I hope you all enjoyed this. Stay tuned for more campaign logs and possibly sessions in the future.